Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live with Liz, where we talk about all things related to legal marketing and business development. And, if you guys have ideas for topics that you want us to cover, let us know. We are playing around with our topics this year and trying to figure out some of the most relevant things to cover. But I digress. This morning, we are actually talking about press releases, which seems pretty basic. And maybe something that's a little outdated, something that people aren't really using as much, because by the time you get a press release to where it needs to go, and by the time it's effective in getting things published through channels that have the audiences you're trying to reach, it could be old news, right? But no, the press release is still a very important tool that could be something that amplifies the message you're trying to get out to the right audience, as I just mentioned, in a way that, while traditional, yes, is still more effective than you trying to get the message out just by social media or even taking out ads or something like that. So what do we do? What is a press release, first of all, right? Hey, good morning, Leah. Thanks for joining me. A press release is a notification to the world, or to the press, more specifically, something newsworthy, something that's changed, something important, something that's happened. You want to get the word about something, and it can be used as a promotional device, and it can be used very well in the legal field and in the legal marketing field, because much of the type of information that we're trying to amplify is the kind of thing that's newsworthy and the kind of thing that the press wants to cover, but the press can't cover it if they don't know what's happening, and they're not necessarily going to pick it up from your website, your newsletter, your email, or any other mechanism. Thus, the press release, which, if you use a channel that's set up to distribute a press release, then you can truly reach the press. You can reach lots of different editors and publications around the world, newspapers. That's the thing, though. How do you reach those channels? I felt like it was kind of a mystery, because, I didn't take that PR class when I was getting my marketing degree, or, that if you've taken marketing courses, or maybe you haven't, you're a lawyer or a paralegal, or you went from being in-house somewhere and working with a marketing department to all of a sudden having this marketing role. Maybe you've never done a press release or even thought of them as a relevant tool for today, because it's not something that's front of mind. Maybe you're from an earlier generation that wouldn't even use them anyway, or consider using them. But I have found them to be extraordinarily effective when they reach the right channels. There are a lot of different companies out there that distribute press releases, and there are a lot of different types of press. But when we get down to the basics, what we're talking about is communicating well something that's newsworthy and getting it to those channels. So we're going to start with the press release itself, the mechanics of it, the body of it. What does this look like? And I've seen some mistakes when it comes to press releases, so I'll mention a couple of those. But it's pretty simple, and many of you probably already know, because you've seen them. Maybe you've seen them on the internet somewhere. Maybe you've seen them on a website when you visit somebody's news section of their website, or perhaps you're seeing articles that are written because somebody sent a press release. So it starts with basically a one-pager. You're talking maybe 400 to 600 words, and it's very simple. You have a date line on it, absolutely critical. You have to put the city and location of where your news is happening is also absolutely relevant, and most press associations will not accept a press release if it does not have the basic information attached to it. You want to keep your messaging succinct. You want to have a concise description of whatever it is that's happening. You want to make sure that it's something newsworthy, that if it's just something that's not newsworthy, you don't necessarily want to do a press release for it. So it's not for every single thing that's happening. But the things that I might cover when I choose to use a press release, things like personnel changes at the higher levels of an organization. So we're talking about new partner announcements, maybe changes to the structure of an organization. You have a new practice area you want to announce. Perhaps you have some sort of transaction that you want to announce to the world, a win in a lawsuit as a law firm. These are all things that, as long as they are relevant to a specific audience and they get to the right place, the press loves to cover, because they're actually newsworthy. And when they are newsworthy, that's when you can get press without paying for some promotional paid content, although you may be paying a little bit for that press release. So these are the types of things that we're communicating. One of the things to look out for when writing your press release is not to include multiple pieces of news in the same release. Now, there are ways that you can do this, and sure, your real estate on this page that you're submitting to the press may allow for it, but it's probably not the best idea to confuse the message that you want to get out. So, what is the most important thing that you want the press to know about this new person, about this win, what it means, how it's relevant to the audience? Timelines, anything that's important related to when something occurred, those are the relevant things to keep in the press release. Also, every press release needs to have a contact and contact email, phone number when you send it to the press. In case there are questions, somebody wants to set up interviews, things of that nature, all should be there. When you're doing these online, the mechanics also usually allow for some sort of photograph to be included with it. If you're using one of these online portals to distribute press releases, you're likely going to pay to do that. And sometimes it's a substantial amount depending on how far of a reach you're looking for with the press release. So you may end up paying for the basics. You can also pay to have people write the press release for you so that it's done in a way that is effective, or you could use AI like we talked about last week. But the important thing is that they are well written and communicate your message well, and that you're not confusing that message and trying to put too much in there. You don't want to cram everything in there. I often see, especially with a partner announcement, a quote from someone about what it means to the firm or about what it means for the practice, that sort of thing. So quotes are interesting or helpful to include. I also often see the about us section, usually a conclusion paragraph or a couple of lines at least that talk about the organization itself, just to round things out and just say, this is who we are, this is what we do. Um, it's not a device where you're going to be salesy and say, oh, contact us for blah, 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 blah. This is not the place to do that. It's not an advertisement for your firm. It is neutral. It's written with that neutral voice so that it's not promotional on purpose, so that it gets picked up. And that's the term they use, a pickup. So when a press release is picked up by the press, it means that they're covering it. You might have articles written about you. You might be included in different sections of the news. And then those sorts of things make you more visible. They amplify your message. Once it gets picked up by a couple of places, it can get picked up by a couple of more. Now, there are two channels that I find effective with the press releases, one more so than the other, but it really depends on the nature of your messaging and the audience you're trying to reach. So, with some of the different channels that are available for submitting a press release, you've got this professionally written, well communicated piece of information. Now you need to get it out there. So you have to choose your channel. So you can go with these online um, publication press release, like I want to call them warehouses. And there are quite a few out there where you can take it. E-releases is one. There, Cision you can get through on a number of different channels. And basically, they take your press release. You get to choose a few different things that you want to reach for with this release. So maybe it's jurisdiction, maybe it's a particular industry. And what they're doing is they're blasting it, and they're blasting it all over to places that are accepting press releases on the editorial side. So maybe actual editors, reporters, and publications, emails that are receiving press releases, but a lot of them all at once. So in some cases, those channels will constitute official news. So it may be covered by Google News or Yahoo News or something like this that has another type of audience. If you're trying to reach the masses, it can be very helpful to do a press release. If you're trying to reach a specific industry, often these channels allow you to specify industries. Sometimes those industry focuses will cost you more money. Sometimes it will cost you more money to reach an additional jurisdiction if you want to take it international, which often is the case with the clients we work with, international law firms. You there there are a lot of I'm sorry, my daughter, she's 3 and she just said mommy, and they're leaving for school. Bye bye, baby. Okay, sorry. A little bit of a home distraction, work from home scenario. Um, I know a lot of you can relate. All right. So the other way that I find helpful with these press releases is that we have curated. Oh, thank you, Mariana. we curate our own list of the most relevant publications, and oh, thanks guys. That's very, I love the support because, it doesn't feel very professional, but I guess it is these days now. So I find it more effective even than using one of these channels and spending a lot of money, which can be important, even if it's just to get the professional level that you're looking for, because once it's published as an actual press release, you have this level of professionalism that you don't have when you're sending something for immediate release directly from an organization. To reporters personally. But when it comes to a third party, or someone like me, or an actual publisher or reporter, and says, hey, there's something newsworthy happening here, or we picked this up, or we picked that up, there are a lot of organizations within your industries, thanks Laura, that that have reporters and email addresses for exactly to be able to send press releases to them. They want to receive your press releases. I even sat down once when I was working for a law firm directly in Brazil, and I sat down once with someone at a publication in Latin America, which shall remain nameless, and they said, "You never send us press releases, so we never know what's happening at your firm." And that, this was 15 years ago, or maybe, no, it wasn't. It was like 10 years ago. No, it was like 8 years. Okay. Make your bells go off in your ear. Oh, I'm supposed to be sending you press releases. I didn't realize I should be doing that. What a good idea. Let me go ahead and send you press releases when important things happen. And some things that you may not even think are necessarily newsworthy might be in the end, and just give it a try. Yeah. So, so you might as well put it together, give it a try. And then you look. Some of these rankings publications out there are doing a lot of publishing of actual content. They're looking for content. They want the content for their audience that's relevant to them. So which publications matter to you? Are they accepting press releases? This could be important. We've curated our own list of reporters and editors and publishers that we feel will appreciate receiving a press release, because you want them to not think of it as spam. So this is something don't want to do these every week. You don't want to do, then the channels that claim to be official press release channels, they'll get you to the AP wire and things like that. They will try and sell you campaigns where they want you to do, they'll say one press release is not enough. And in some cases, that's absolutely true. And especially if you're trying to reach the general public as opposed to a very specific segment of the public, then you may want to do campaigns of press releases where you take some topic that is newsworthy, that, or different things that you're trying to promote, and do a series of press releases. That is another way to do something promotional for your law firm utilizing this tool. But if it's just one thing, you just want to make sure that it gets to the right people at the right time when you're making this big announcement, like a partner announcement. You want to make sure that it gets to the right places. You don't want to miss anybody, right at the right time, so that it has maximum exposure and opportunity for pickup. And that's what we're talking about when we're doing these press releases. We want these to be picked up, and it's not advertising where you can still advertise some of these things that have happened. If you have a new partner, you want to take out a half page or full page announcement in one of these publications to really celebrate this achievement that somebody on your team has made, or a win of some sort, or your new practice area. You can still take out advertisements in these publications, but that's something different. And that may be part of an overall campaign to gain exposure for something that's happening at your firm, or for something that you want to bring awareness to. But the press release itself is kind of this different tool that has another way of being effective without the spend on individual advertising as well. So even though you may spend some money in the beginning to put this press release together in the right way, quickly, usually they're usually done at the last minute, I find, and that you want to get it done as quickly as possible and out to the world all at the same time on the same day. This can absolutely be done without spending a lot of money, and you can get a lot of pickup, especially if you're sending it to the relevant people. So whether it's through the official channels of these publications that are, or these, I call them warehouses, press release warehouses, or if it's through your own list to your relevant contacts at these publications that you maybe work with all the time. Maybe you're investing in them, you're doing paid content with them. They want to know. They want to know what's happening. And if it's relevant to their audience, they'll likely cover it and you won't be spending money on that advertisement. It'll just be additional visibility for you that you can benefit from and bring awareness to something that's happening in your firm. So I hope I have answered some of your questions. I know they were burning inside you about the press releases, or maybe we've visited some basics that you already knew about, and maybe that was helpful too. Or you just wanted to see my beautiful face, all the same, thing. Thank you for joining me as always on Live with Liz. If you have questions or want to explore this further, you can send us an email at solutions@firmforward.com. If you have some topic that you would like us to cover on a live, we're happy to consider it. Also to solutions@firmforward.com. And hopefully I will see you next time here on Live with Liz. Take care, everybody.